So next up, we're going to be checking out the worst tabletop RPGs from KamSandwich. We just got to Censar and what was one of the initial worst 3 tabletop RPGs before 2002. And honestly, it seems pretty tame. Horrible marketing. Terrible marketing. Really, really familiar marketing that looks like the standard way every single bullshit Amazon review is made that's completely and utterly fake and just generated in the most lying way possible. And that honestly makes it more disturbing than the actual game itself. But not that bad. Which is why I'm absolutely worried about whatever comes next, because it will probably be that bad. Because I've been told chat is here for it right now. And if there's one thing I know, the internet enjoys watching me suffer. So for everyone wondering, hi Mom, I know you're watching. Let's jump into it.
RPG that was dragged down to the depths due to the actions of its creator. Definitely
You know, I probably should have actually found out where the next stop was. Oh, here we go. Make sure to cut this when we actually get to the real video.
Beat the trio, then who was that final member that made up the original Unholy Trinity? Well, it's another crazy title with a word starting with an S. Ladies and gentlemen, the world of Cinnabar.
What is that art? It's like they have a very classic dragon, the ultimate transgenre gaming, but there's also a headless, muscle-bound cyborg on a pro Sadar bike with rockets and a lady with a Gucci purse and a metal leg with a force field. I have so many questions, and all of them are, how is this not just Dungeons and Dragons in space? Sorry, wait, I'm wrong. That already exists, and I'm pretty sure it did it this time too. Maybe. I'm not entirely sure where Spelljammer came out. Ooh. Also, you save a request for Pancreas No Work every Warhammer Fantasy? Ooh, I didn't even know he did that. I might check that out.
I guarantee you, the world of Cinnabon would have been better received.
Unironically, I would actually do that. That sounds awesome.
The World of Cinnabar is the 1991 science fiction RPG that sees people
91, which means Dungeons & Dragons probably already had Spelljammer. Okay.
travel the stars, undertaking glorious adventures, and is best described by Darren McLennan as, quote, an endless, hideous rant that's written in a language that's indistinguishable from English, but which is not English.
Oh. So that's what the person who did 50 Shades of Grey did before actually writing that, let's call it a book. I guess they had to work on something beforehand.
You can always count on McLennan to really set the stage. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, what is this Cinnabar?
Confused and not in any way, shape, or form aware of what it's doing. Also with very dumb art.
Well, I'm glad you thought. You see, Cinnabar is the enormous hollowed-out corpse of the planet Mars that has been converted into a world ship and flies through the cosmos carrying the remnants of humanity.
Here's the thing. That sounds awesome. How are they taking that and making it dumb?
There's also a massive...
Also, I'm being told by Captain Rumia, Spelljammer was 1989, 2 years before this came out.
Werestorm that ravages the planet constantly, which was put there by Space Jesus in order to protect the population. What do you think this is? Two truths there by... So a massive werestorm that ravages the planet constantly, which was put there by Space Jesus in order to protect the population.
Is it a bunch of people who become a storm, or is it a storm of were people? Or is it just a storm where it's a storm? I don't know, and there's really no way that isn't going to sound stupid. I see how they're suddenly turning a really cool science fiction concept into something stupid, because that is very much sounding like it.
What do you think this is? Two truths and a lie? They lead with that.
Oh, God.
That's your introduction.
Yeah, never mind. I see how they can make this really dumb.
You will come to find that there are a lot of strange goings-on in Cinnabar, both the world ship and the game itself.
Here's the thing. really dumb mechanics, or not dumb mechanics, like really dumb lore, I don't mind. This is actually a genre-defining thing for multiple systems. Rogue Trader from Games Workshop was stupid. It was intentionally dumb. And a lot of the things with 40K now where there's honor, but also some dark humor. No, before it was just humor. It was incredibly intentionally bad. And then you have things like World of Darkness, which there was a guy who took over the world with airships, man. And people just forgot it. There is intentional stupid written into this game, and I love that game. It's a great system. It can be dark and gritty, but also really engaging, and it has the dumbest, most out there, in-your-face, schlock, horror, science fiction, fantasy you can imagine. Dumb is fine when you have it built on a framework that can understand that it's humor. This doesn't sound like it's humor. This sounds like it's meant to be taken seriously, and that's usually where it falls apart.
For example, did you know that a lot of the story elements on your adventure are determined by the DM rolling dice to see if something happens?
Okay, I'm going to be completely honest. I know a lot of DMs who do this. Not so much when they're playing, but when they take their storylines, like, what am I going to do here? Let's roll a dice to find out. Not, okay, what's the player going to do here? And we'll see how well it's going to happen with me telling this. Like, no. Story element, I'm going to roll a dice to see what randomly happens. This is not something I'm okay with because every time it's the dumbest out of your ass pull you can imagine because you're not sure what to do and you haven't thought through how to ad-lib well enough to do it. If you give this type of role to someone who actually is a really damn good ad-libber, it's amazing. But it's a skill set you have to have externally to the game, and it's not a common one.
Not them planning out the story ahead of time? Yeah, the guide gives you a percentage chance of 2 outcomes, you roll to see what happens, and then you just have to make up the following events as you go. Hope you've been sharpening up those improv skills. But this
again, if this is a humor setting, I would be fine with this. I'm fine with wacky implausibility. In fact, I like that. This doesn't sound like it's wacky implausibility. Well, I can't speak to that. It sounds like it's going to be intentionally very serious, very gritty, very gripping realism of Frog. Yeah. Also, in the deep end, I'm going to do a 24-hour stream one of these days. It was only 21 or 3 hours, I think.
This is just a chance for the game to allow you to use your imagination. The game is very keen on allowing you to use your imagination whenever possible.
Oh god, it's another case of wish it wanna do it from Family Guy, isn't it? I can't tell if that's genius or horrible. Also, Zero, thank you very much. I'm just going to pull this up since you did that. Most of my story as a DM is just rolling dice. Many shoes was lost that day. Also, can we watch Spy next? Sure, man, we'll do that one next. Thank you very much. Oh, I guess that ended. Neat.
It even asks you right on the back of the box if you are, quote, frustrated with gaming systems that limit not only your imagination, but your character abilities as well?
Oh, I see how... You know, no, I think I was right. This is literally the equivalent of Wish It, Want It, Do It. For anyone who doesn't know, there was a skit in Family Guy where Brian finally wrote a book because he's the pretentious ass who always talks about how great he is. Like, drinks martinis, acts like he's better than everyone else. Never did anything. And again, he's just an ass. Horrible person. In fact, one of the most amazing skits in Family Guy is Quagmire going out and being serious, not being a perv, and giving Brian the "why you suck" speech. And it's amazing because it's absolutely serious and kind of shows that, oh yeah, no, the character creators are exactly aware of what kind of monsters they're showing. My wife is going to the room going, I remember. And one of the examples is Wish It, Want It, Do It, which is Brian just writing a journal with extra steps in there so you can just fill in the pages like, this is what you wish, this is what you want, this is what you do. I've quoted most of the book already. It's just a bunch of blank pages for you to fill in the answers because it's personal to you. And I'm a great writer because I did this. Is this the entire game of just, hey, you make the game yourself. Here's a setting. You can make the setting yourself. Here's the characters. You make the characters yourself. Here's the powers. You make the powers yourself. If it's where it's going, I am literally going to be tacitly impressed that someone would think of such an amazingly stupid con that it's so bad that they actually got art for it, but also managed to sell it enough that it became well known. I don't know, like, how I'm impressed. I'm impressed somehow. And when I find out how I'm being impressed, I'm probably going to hate myself a bit for it.
Well, come on down to the world of Cinnabar, where we'll make you even more frustrated by doing that exact same thing. See, most characteristics for your character are determined by rolling dice.
I'm sorry, it says dwarf, gnome, human, but instead of an elf, it's a self. Or a psi-elf. Self. Someone had thought they were being very fun. It's all random.
We wouldn't want you to have to come up with any of your own character's features.
Cobra fangs are 1 foot long and surrounded by fields that cause paralysis. Take 1 attack to use. This is the few intelligent snakes that stalks his prey have... Wait, why are they talking about snakes when they're looking at a monkey man with a foxtail? Because it's all random and no one knows.
That would limit your imagination. This dice determination is especially true with the classes that you can choose from, as most of the classes in the game are locked behind stat prerequisites determined by your initial stat rolls.
Alchemist, Amazon, Aquarian? Aether, Biosynth, Cyborg, Chameleon, Drake, Dwarf, Giant, Gnome, Mage Warrior, Mutant, Ninja, Sylph, Shadow Master, Shadow Warrior, Shaman, Tiger, Golden Scarlet, Tiger, Mage, Wereman, Winged Warrior. Wait, if you're a wereman, doesn't that just make you a child who morphs into a business person who's late for work? My God, that is evil.
Didn't hit the right numbers? You can't play as that class. Want to play as that awesome biosynthetic warrior that you...
I'm going to say something a little controversial. I don't mind hidden classes. I would like if the starting one is a good choice, but the idea that there are certain classes you can't get right away, I'm okay with that. I'm showing a little bias for job progression systems on this one. I don't really play them often, but I kind of like how you can earn further ones from Final Fantasy Tactics style games, because it shows a way to progress the character beyond just straight level up power. It's an entirely new paradigm, a new framework for how to play a character, and changing up the class like that is an interesting way to do it. It's also why I like multi-classing, but that's completely beside the point. This is not what they're doing. It's like they got so close to a good option, and then they decided not to do it.
Saw in the book?
Yeah, it does look like Frieza.
Sorry, buddy. Looks like your strength roll didn't hit the prereqs. Wouldn't want to limit your imagination. Good lord, I can't even begin to cover this in the normal way I would talk about one of these. There are more than 460 pages in this thing, and each one keeps getting crazier.
Crazy isn't a bad thing. Just, it seems very dumb to control. Also, how much of this can be fixed by, we're just going to ignore that rule and do your own thing with the basic rules? I mean, I've played enough D&D, where it's mostly just homebrew, where you realize, yeah, as long as the DM has a consistent idea of what they're doing, it's probably fine.
As such, I will be showcasing the points of interest that I think could give you a better grasp on what is going on in Cinnabar. As
how bad is it?
If I tried to get you through it like the doc does, we'd be here all day. During character creation, you roll 6 dice to determine...
I'm going to be honest, though. I like the art. I mean, I'm not just saying that because it's a hot warrior woman. Even previous to this, where it was like, this is dumb art. I think it's ridiculous, but I like it. The Biosynth Cyborg, I think it's ridiculous, but I like it. Like, just any of this. Like, it's all good art. Okay, those little dwarf guys with the metal bodies, that's bad. That actually is bad. But it's not bad art in itself. It's very dated, but it's not horrible. I think there's good bones here. It feels like we're missing how it's going to get worse, isn't it? It's about to get worse.
Stats, and if you roll 5 20s, you are allowed to start the game as an immortal born, beginning the game as a type of being that cannot die in any way that matters.
If this is something you could earn in-game, that would be cool. Starting that way also would probably be really boring. Because like, on one hand, great, I get this. Oh, now the game's trivialized. That kind of would suck. And Martin's mentioning this is still part of the old Trinity. Actually, yeah, this is the last of the old Trinity of the worst games. And I can kind of see why, where it's like there's still thought put into this one. It's not good thought, but they have an idea. And I can see someone homebrewing this into a competent system where only some of the classes were randomized and you could re-roll as you progress through the game to try and get a better improvement. Or if the narrator was able to take these ideas, like you could work up to becoming this immortal godly being, but you can only try so often. You can always try again, but I will only allow you once each time, and you have to justify it. There is a path to making this useful. A lot of it is ignoring the rules and doing it yourself, but unlike some of the other ones, you would be able to ignore the rules and do it yourself because there are some interesting things here that I think are really cool. Just the way to get them is dumb.
Congratulations, you get to play as a fungus. Once level 45, if you didn't start the game off as one, you can attempt a quest to become an immortal.
Yeah, see, that sounds perfectly cool to me. I honestly think that's a really cool system.
After that, once you reach level 70, you can attempt a quest to become a demigod, and once you reach level 100, you can attempt a quest to become a full-on god.
This sounds like a perfectly good system. In fact, I kind of like this.
In this universe get a bunch of cool stuff, but are described as gods because they have access to god power. So these guys are really closer to a Super Saiyan god rather than the actual...
Ah, so it's godly as opposed to the big guy. Or closer to a Greek god.
Allegedly, the max level that you can reach in Cinnabar is 600, which considering you reach godhood at level 100, you are going to have a lot of time on your godly hands.
I mean, if you have an idea of extended rules and what you can fight on bigger levels, just look at some of the mecha anime at this time period. And I do mean at the time period this came out. I'm assuming it's in the 80s or 90s, so there's some mecha anime that came out around now, man, that escalated a lot. And would be a very good example of, okay, what would the next that's what the next 600 levels would be like. I cannot remember its name. I think it's like, not Go-Getter, something about green energy, but not spiral energy because it was pre-Gurren Lagann. I cannot remember the name of it.
Skills not only require skill points to earn, but also require money, time, and prerequisites of other skills, all based on your class.
I honestly believe it sounds like the worst part about this game so far is just the random creation process where everything else kind of feels like it's good bones built on a terrible foundation.
Some of the incredibly useful skills at your disposal include accounting, banking, basket weaving, marine biology, cinematography, comedian, criminology, dancing, aquatic demolitions.
Okay, that last one actually sounds like a campaign in its own right. I know this is random, but ironically, I kind of like this.
Farming, glassblowing, jeweler, landscaping, massaging, mime, motion picture directing, piloting skateboards, pottery, scuba diving, sewing, ventriloquism, weight training, and wood carving.
I'm okay with this. I like random bullshit. I'm fine with this. I don't like how I'm fine with this. This sounds like it is a good idea executed badly, but the idea isn't horrible. I hate this because I know I'm going to regret those words because it's in the list.
You know, the essentials.
Oh yeah, Captain Mar. Aquatic demolition on Mars? I know, right? Can you imagine what kind of fucked up reality you have to be in where that comes up? Don't know, but you can make up a story around it. I'm sure it'd be awesome. Because it's a spaceship. You just go to a water plant or crash into it. You have to do some really weird shit, man. Because can you imagine how often someone like that would come up on Mars and it's like, okay, now we need aquatic demolitions. We have one man to call. It's a great reason to have your character be the main character where everyone else is overleveled, but no one else has that random skill.
Speaking of those classes, here are a couple of highlights. Amazons on Mars are all...
I mean, considering there's the entire thing in Rama that was Chinese Amazons, or how the entire concept of just say they're in the Amazon instead of Amazons, which would be Greek, but then in Brazil instead. There's a lot of ways you can get around that.
Women and carry a 30% chance to be very good looking. All archers
Only
come
30?
equipped with a crippling gambling addiction.
Honestly, that sounds perfectly accurate.
Found my class.
Yeah.
Biosynthesis.
Gotcha player here. I can't say shit.
cyborgs are biosynthetic cybernetic organisms, which means that they are robots but with all of the same stuff that humans have.
In other words, they're literally one of the endings to Mass Effect. I refuse to acknowledge Andromeda.
But better. You need to roll 3 20s when making your character to unlock this class, so I'd hold off on imagining what you could possibly do with it.
But if the DM said this is one of the classes you can try and get into at, say, 30, because there was a middle ground, that would be fine. I think the unlock class system as you progress is probably an amazing idea. And a lot of these were probably things they should have done earlier, and then just let you make the goddamn choice early on and cut out the crazy options. Because honestly, if you have too powerful of a character too early on, you get bored with the system, and then the later upgrades don't really feel as powerful because you remember feeling more powerful early on.
Mutants are all exceedingly good at hang gliding. Tigers are either...
Unironically, that sounds like a skill I would want to abuse. Can you imagine all the situations where it's like, I'm going to be hang gliding now? How do you mean that? I am taking this piece of paper. I have hang gliding skill. I'm making it work. I play loose and stupid with rules, and I try and hope the DM doesn't realize how many levels of dumb I'm doing. And sometimes it works and it makes it amazing. That's more just, again, the DM. It sounds like this is a system you need to homebrew. Specifically, just the character creation part.
They're superheroes or villains depending on what you rolled on alignment. Costumes are included as well. Some classes in the game...
That's weird. That's dumb. But the rest of it is also dumb, so I can give it a pass.
...have access to certain types of magic because why not? We've already hollowed out Mars after all. Spell levels go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, and 50 because of course they do. Here.
That's dumb. I mean, I can get the reasoning when you reach God levels if it did that, because at that level you just say power is a lot less relative and more going by leaps. It's a dumb excuse, but you can make it work. Again, a lot of this feels like good bones, actually. I'm kind of liking it so far. And also, I've seen so many things that are as techno magic right now in so many different franchises. The entire idea of magic in space on a hollowed out planet really doesn't feel that eccentric. It doesn't feel that eccentric. Now, when this game came out, it was probably not the most common thing you saw. I think it was in some of the final... I think it was in Final Fantasy 2 or 3. Probably 3, which came out as 4 in America, I think, because there was a weird release around that, where they had techno magic, but even then, it wasn't the most common way to combine them. It's something that became much more common in fantasy media later on, but early on, that was a much more weird thing. So some of these conceits, if it was done now, probably wouldn't be that odd.
Here are some highlights. Sphere of Destruction, a 3rd level spell that instantly disintegrates any creature that can't teleport out of it. As you may have picked up.
And this is where you get into the bad balancing. Good spell, bad level.
The balance in this one is a little wonky. Teleportation, a 10th level spell that carries a chart based on your chances to teleport wrong. If you end up teleporting inside of a solid object, you immediately die. Suspension, I
wonder what happens if you're one of those guys who can't die and you teleport wrong on purpose because you can't die, but then you die, but you can't die. Also, a 3rd level spell requiring a 10th level spell to get around it. Yeah, I think I kind of am solidifying my opinion on this one. It's a bad game with good ideas and good bones that someone else could probably remake into something half decent. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if one of the little things he had in later is, and they went back like 40 years later and just did an updated version where they fixed a lot of the bullshit by just cutting things out. Yeah, that would help. Yeah.
15th level spell that suspends all movement in a 500-foot circle around you down to the molecular level.
I'm sorry. Area affected. No shot roll is required with this ability. The spell's effects spread like nipples in a pond. Wave attack. This spell will suspend movement down to the molecular level. It cannot be amplified. It affects... My wife is correcting me. It said it was supposed to be ripples, not nipples. I don't see it, but I'll take her word for it, one.
Level. Flames of Visor. 40th level spell that lets your in-game character ask the real-world DM one question. Star
That's in D&D and has been for years.
Weird. 30th level spell lets you change the color of the effing sun. Wow, there sure is a lot on offer here. Yeah, that's probably because the game goes extremely in-depth and overcomplicated on pretty much every aspect, but none of the mechanics are actually fleshed out in a way that makes the game deep.
Again, that's dumb. If you did that as a god level, though, I fully believe that'd be worth it. It's way too early. But if you're already a god, sure, fuck it. Change the color of the sun. And then have the DM play it off as knowing exactly what the sun coloration means to really fuck around with people.
Everything is just there. For instance, enjoy this entire effing physical properties of materials chart, which includes density, hardness, melting temperature, and pounds per cubic inch to
Okay, I've played with enough engineers in games where this is unironically useful. Would I ever use it? No. But finding out just how much damage and force you can attribute to maybe casting an enlarged reduce spell on a bundle of dynamite to say, okay, it went up by a metric volume of 8. What does that do, DM? Just having to point to this and then freaking them out even faster to just allow it in some way would be valuable. It's dumb, but it's useful. I'm okay with this. It's definitely a broken system, though. Like, there's no balance. There's no thought put into that at all. In fact, as far as playing the game goes, it seems almost impossible. But I could see this being rebalanced heavily. But so far, it doesn't actually seem horrible. How is it going to get horrible?
Form. Or have an entire gosh dang starship built for you for like $1 billion. Because what else are you going to...
Honestly, that might be a deal.
Spend the money on 204,498,977 Red Baron pizzas?
That doesn't sound bad, actually. That works.
Man, I freaking wish. Imagine yourself sorting through the 25 different damage categories that could stem from combat. Or how about the awesome charts that are all vital to the gameplay experience?
I mean, again, yeah. I don't mind this, though. I'd like the charts because they seem thought through. The usage of it seems dumb, and I'm sure we're going to get to the dumb things later, too.
Like the speed and distance of thrown objects chart, the falling speed chart.
This exists in D&D. It's a lot simpler. It's literally like, I think, a damage dice for every 5 feet. Which seems smart until you realize, oh God, this is not a normal world, and you don't actually have a maximum falling speed if the DM doesn't want to acknowledge that, because everything in D&D is not really a real world. It's a magical world where the effects of reality are as much as the DM wants to go. So if you destroy all normal, non-magical matter, the planet survives. A lot of people don't, but the ones who do are all going to be pissed, and a lot of them will destroy you.
The body hit locations chart.
Yeah,
the
that's just
body
annoying.
hit locations if you have wings chart.
I'm going to just chalk this up under would be fine if there was an app for it, and any other way, I'm just going to ignore that.
And who could forget the moving silently on different types of terrain chart?
Unironically, again, would be fine as an app. Terrible in person, and I would just ignore it.
Oh, and just to make sure that we don't frustrate you by limiting your imagination, any and all house rules are explicitly not allowed per the game's rulebook.
Counterpoint, fuck you. And I'm just going to stand by that one because who are they going to call? The tabletop narcs? I'm not going to listen to that. Again, if it's dumb, but the bones are good, just ignore it. Take what you like. This is very dumb, over-engineered, but it still doesn't seem like it's so bad as some of the others, either being a broken game, a stupid game, an unfun game, or just a terribly advertised game.
You must play the game rules as written.
No.
Also, don't forget about the flying bears with laser eyes. Those are also here.
I thought that's just a standard Canadian. The clam is a little weird. Yep, see? Flaming clam.
You know, on Mars. Can't believe I forgot to mention those.
Laser bears.
Now, as much as I am dogging on the game here for the complete mess that is going on, there is a lot of stuff in here that does sound really cool.
Yeah?
But believe it or not, despite how expansive everything is, what with all the things transpiring, it ends up becoming pretty shallow due to none of the stuff really operating together at all.
Yeah, and this is where I thought it would come to. If it's just overly shallow because I didn't think it out, though, I wouldn't be surprised if people got this system as a reference to try and incorporate in their own types of homebrew in other games, because fuck it, why not?
They've thrown an egregious amount of spaghetti at the wall in the hopes that a bunch of it would stick, but they forgot that when you do this, you are still left with a ton of spaghetti on the floor. What you end up with is a document with a couple of cool ideas and a game that hardly functions in any enjoyable way due to all the bad ideas still being in there.
It doesn't sound as horrible as some of the others, though. Like, unironically, it is a bad game. It isn't a game I would want to play. And I don't think it's really all that interesting, but I think the base bones of it could be very useful for someone else to just blatantly steal what they think is cool and use them. The concept of changing class as you level up, the concept of having all of that extraneous detail in case someone wants to use it, like not requiring it, but having it as an extra for fun if someone can find a way to use it. There's definitely some interest here. The no house rule thing is utter trash, and I would ignore it entirely to the point where I don't even think it's worth bothering with because I'm never going to acknowledge it.
My best to showcase why this is, but if I couldn't get it done, then this quote from McLennan should sum it up pretty neatly. He took the worst aspects of every game ever made, threw them into this game, and then turned up the suck meter until it broke off.
Honestly, the other ones looked worse. This doesn't look horrible. And Martin, there is no concept of changing class. I guess you really don't like that. But yeah, like the idea of like, you can try and go on quest to get other things and eventually going up to God at level 100. It's not bad bones. And I don't really agree with this one. Like, out of all of the unholy three, this is the least objectionable. I don't feel like it's written by someone who has a very definite I hate this group here agenda. And it doesn't feel like like the people making it are actively shooting themselves in the foot with the worst campaign possible. It just feels like a broken game. Like, I would say this one, unless something else comes out right after I say this kind of doesn't deserve to be in the list, other than it's historically one of the worst three games. It feels like the game that you would get in a $2 bin at like a half-price books that no one picked up, but it's like, might be worth to flick through a few times for fun, but not really worth more than the $2 you would pay to get it. Not great, but not really that interesting. And like, you'll never play it, but it's got a cool few things. It's like, oh yeah, that looks neat. And leave it at that. Kind of forgettable because it's not horrible enough to really stand out, but it's also not good enough to really be worth caring. It's like a 5 or even a 3 or 4 out of 10. Yeah, 5 would be too good. 3 is about as bad as I get. Because there's good ideas in there that I might steal or even badger other people about, but it doesn't seem that bad. Which is probably why whatever replaces the unholy trinity of terrible tabletop games is going to be absolutely mind-numbing. Because this is not horrible. How does it get horrible?
The man has a way with words. And that should cover the whole of the unholy trinity. The first unholy trinity.
Now let's get to the rest of it.
The one that got overthrown by the new one made up of games that are all worse than them. Jeez Louise, this is gonna be torturous. Before we condemn ourselves to unending misery, though, I want to briefly touch on the only TTRPG that has attempted to make a power play for a spot in that trio. That being the hip new kid on the block, MyFarog.
What?
MyFarog is the 2015 mythic fantasy role-playing game. Wait a minute, sorry. My Frog stands for Mythic Fantasy Role-Playing Game. My bad. You know,
I'm a little disappointed. I thought it was just a fancy way to say frog. It's like, oh, you're playing as a frog. Amphibious combat. Writes itself. If you're not doing that, okay, we're going super pretentious again. This is literally someone going, I have an idea and it's amazing. I must share it with the world. Yeah, I see where this is going. Oh, and Raw, one of the biggest problems in the game, actually, I'm just going to pull up your in chat on this one. Yeah, one of the biggest problems in the game is random. It's a game where the player and the DM had to go through the book with no narrative or plan. I mean, yeah, but also I've played with enough DMs who are absolutely and utterly destroyed by the players doing that to them anyways, where that doesn't actually seem too odd for me. And I've also played with enough homebrew where it's like, okay, this is the rules. We're not doing that because that's stupid and we ignore it. Where I don't really care about what the people making the game say. If everyone else agrees with it, fuck it, do it anyways. I truly don't think that's a big deal. So them being super pretentious is nice because I still don't care about their opinion. Everything else they did is kind of useful. I don't know why that deserved to be on the list. It just feels off. Now, if you play the game as it was meant to be played, oh yeah, no, it's completely utter trash. It doesn't function as a game because everything's random. There's a table for everything. You end up spending more time just wasting time than actually playing the game. I don't think that's a problem. I think a horrible game like that is horrible and you shouldn't play. You should find a better system. But then steal the ideas that are interesting for that better system, which is not actually horrible, man. I wouldn't play the game as intended. I don't think anyone should. In fact, that sounds like a form of punishment. Yeah, that's where I'm going on that one. Terrible game. Decent bones. If I saw the book for $2.50 off one, that's probably what it's worth. I wouldn't do more than that. That's about it. And if it sounds like I'm trying to distract myself from getting into the big three, I'm very much doing that right now. Oh, and Quantum. In one campaign you destroyed the multiverse by destroying the concept of a portal anchor and tore space-time so badly all the gods had to reboot the multiverse. I'm pretty sure that's happened in Marvel continuity at least 3 times. Not even sure that's a joke either.
I was going to make fun of the generic name, but then I remembered the name of the most popular game about exploring dungeons and fighting dragons, so I think I'll let this one slide. That is the only thing that I'll let slide from this one though, as this game was penned by ex-Nazi and convicted murderer Varg Vikernes, and contains all of the material you would expect from that rap sheet. Yeah, poorly veiled racism, political messaging. Look, I really don't want to get too deep into this one because
oh, so it's like the guy who tried to claim he had the rights to Dungeons and Dragons all over again. Lovely.
Because everything in here that you could point to as bad, one of the Trinity does it worse. It's legit just not worth talking about because everything it's doing was done more offensively over a decade ago. I'm out here looking at all these stereotypes and going, yeah, but it's no Fatal. I'm not wasting my breath as
you know what? Fatal hasn't come up yet, and I've heard people in the chat talk about how it's horrible, and he just mentioned, I'm assuming I know what one of the horrible new 3 is. I don't know what Fatal is. I've never looked into this. I've never seen the game. The first time I heard about it was when I started reacting to this video, and chat was asking about it. I should be scared, shouldn't I? Never mind. I know the answer already. And Aiden Mech mentioning they know something they did as a kid involved ants and Legos. I mean, if it's not building an ant farm with clear Lego bricks on the side, I don't know. But honestly, that sounds awesome.
We've got worse stuff coming up, although I will point out 2 things that do set it apart from the unholy members. Firstly, my frog is, for some reason, available on Tabletop Simulator. I am not responsible for this. I put some weird stuff on there. I know this one is not mine. Or at least I thought that this was a unique trait, but it turns out that Fatal is also already on Tabletop, because sure, why not? And
What
2,
is Fatal?
this is the only game I've seen go partially in depth about the benefits of using moss as toilet paper, so hey, at least it's got that going for it.
And ironically, apparently that's a historically relevant fact. And not the dumbest thing people have used. There's a reason why you shook with your right hand.
And with that, I can hold off the tide no longer, as it's now time to delve into the modern Unholy Trinity. Now equipped with the knowledge that a game written by an actual convicted murderer never even had a chance of making it into the group.
Do you imagine supporting a company that was made by Nazis? I mean, that would be like driving a Audi or a BMW to go to maybe a donut shop of some proclivity that makes very mass-producible donuts on a machine. That would be a really weird thing. I'm sure there's a few companies in there that definitely did that. Yeah. Krispy Kreme, BMW. And I think there's at least one clothing brand that exactly is what you're thinking right now. They don't talk about that.
I have already alluded to
Fanta,
one
that's
of the
the one.
members, and longtime viewers should already be aware of why he's here. You know him, you hate him.
Who?
Everybody give a rousing round of nothing for Fatal.
There we go.
Ah, there he is. What a
Group 4, the Unholy Trinity. Fatal, from another time, another land. Oh God, it's this level of pretentious, isn't it? What's with acronyms? They probably come up with the acronyms and try and find some way to justify it. Granted, I've done that too, but usually I do it for dumb jokes.
little scamp. You want to know something
How
crazy?
bad is it?
I think Fatal might be the weakest of the 3.
What?
But no time to worry about that. It's been over a year and a half since we last talked about him, so I think it's time to hit a quick refresher. What is Fatal? I'm very glad you asked that.
I don't think I want to know.
Why don't you go ahead and tell us in song?
Fatal's actual I Kid You Not theme song. Wait. Available. This is an actual adventure to adult lechery. Dice Never Lie by Fatal. They commissioned a growl core rock song. Oh, and people are telling me it was Hugo Boss. That was the clothing company, yeah. Okay. Also, this guy isn't even doing the growling screamo well because they're not actually throwing it in there. They just sound like they have a chest cold. Let me have some Mucinex. That's all it sounds like, man.
It's all downhill from here.
That's not even good. I've heard plenty of songs where I don't like screamo, but that's not even close to it. Yeah.
Fatal, also known as Fantasy Adventure to Adult Lechery, until they changed it to From Another Time,
Land.
Another Land in an attempt to save face, is the 2002...
Honestly, no. If you're going to be an adult game, live down to your title, man. People respect it sometimes. And also, I could see if it was not horrible, maybe VTubers would play, because it seems like the kind of thing a few of them would actually have an audience for.
Fantasy RPG that features some of the most disgusting and depraved mechanics to ever hit the pages of a role-playing game.
How bad are we talking? Also, wow, free CD-ROM inside. Parental advisory, explicit content. Does this guy have flesh wings? He has flesh wings. Okay. This just keeps getting worse. The more I look at that, the more I hate this.
In addition to those mechanics just being overall not very good. I've been trying to think of ways for how I can properly showcase all of Fatal's quirks to you so that you hate the title as much as I do, and I think there's really only one way that I can do that. We do an ad! Hey, buddy, you look like the kind of guy that could really use a good TTRPG. I do currently not own one. Well, lucky for you, we've got one right here.
Oh my god, they actually went with the stock image of a man with a surprisingly ratty collar, turning and smiling while wearing a suit. It's the very image of, I'm not actually rich, but I play a guy who's rich on TV in an ad that you've never seen. You got coupons for the soup kitchen?
Introducing Fatal.
Also, that's not to talk down about soup kitchens. Those places are awesome.
Let me ask you something. Do you enjoy reading sporadically and inconsistently?
Well, he's definitely not American then.
Well, then you will enjoy the over 900 pages of rules on display. That's nearly 3 times.
900! I thought I'd need this again. This is 600. That is bigger by a third of this book. That is in no way, shape, or form in any way useful. Also, this book is only so big because half of his inside jokes. Oh, dear God, man.
Times the amount found in the campaign for North Africa.
There's a game for that?
Don't just read it once.
Oh, it's a book about it.
The complexity of the rules will ensure plenty of rereading potential when you inevitably have to double.
Dexterity, enunciation. Okay, you know how I was talking about the previous game? Had a lot of interesting little facts you could pull from? Enunciation is not one of them. Enunciation is what I'm doing when I say the rain in Spain falls mostly on the main. And you can see where I rolled in that one there by not saying a word correctly. This is dumb. This is not interesting things that you could abuse later. This is things that do not matter.
Back. Wow, this'll take me weeks to get through. But that's not all.
Oh no.
Enjoy mechanics that function so well, they transcend logic and reason. Is the maximum speech rate of your character too low? Then just roll your average speech rate to be higher. Problem solved. Wait.
Speech rate? But that's not even a... But... Why? I mean, I guess you're codifying how speech is a free action, but no one's going to care about that anyway. What? Oh, yeah, I see why this is so bad.
Speech rate is a stat? Why? Because Fatal is deep. Learn all of the intricacies of your character by generating very specific...
Ah. I see. I'm okay with a lot of random granularity. This is not random granularity. This is stupidity. This is the equivalent of going on Reddit, finding a board, which I'm not sure entirely is a joke or not, called I am 12 and this is deep, and using that as inspiration. Honestly, the eye color rolling, that just seems like fun. Mostly because I'm boring and I always just say blue or green, usually green. Because like, oh, I got green eyes, let's go with that one. I'm not that creative about that. I don't mind this type of thing, but like hair thickness. No one is going to remember that. Eye color, if the DM wants to play with that as maybe a defining trait, could be. Hair thickness? No. Unless it is so incredibly thick as to be a character feature, it is utterly useless. For example, if my individual strands of hair are so thick that they are fatal weapons, hey, see what I did there? Yeah. That would be interesting. If I pull a hair from my head and suddenly I have a sword or a whip, that would be an interesting reason to use it. Anything short of that, no, that's dumb.
Specific traits like eye color, hair thickness, pee strength, nipple size, and...
If they're going for obscenely over-the-top ludity, sure, I can give them a pass on this one. Pee strength for the same reason. I'm not going to think about it. It's not my thing. I'm not R. Kelly. But there's an audience for that. A very, very disturbing audience who you make sure they are washing their hands before they shake yours, but there is an audience for that.
The circumference of your butthole all determined at random by roll.
It just seems like this shouldn't be a game. This should just be some random Gooners thing. Like, there's an audience for this. It's an audience I am not a part of, and I don't want anything to do with. And I would very much like to know if they are around, and they might be required to tell me because they are most likely going to be on a list that requires me to find out that they live in my neighborhood. But there's an audience for that. It's just not a good one. I'm assuming that's not the audience they were marketing this to.
rolling dice for over 3 hours. My what circumference? But wait, there's more.
BTT.
Fancying a challenge? Fatal aims to foster a contemptuous relationship between DM and player, with both encouraging.
Wait. That's not normal? Oh. I thought the DM was just low-key supposed to hate you. Whoa. That's a concept.
To make the other's gameplay as miserable as possible. Wow,
5e.
just like Mario Party.
Okay, that's not even a joke. I'm making a joke at this point. He's right. Mario Party is a game meant for murder.
Exactly like Mario Party.
Okay, now that's just not funny.
Your merry band of misfits into the dark and disturbing world of Fatal through the
Okay, I need to ask, why are there random jelly candy in the background? And why am I suddenly hungry looking at the type of candy that I explicitly do not like? They're probably all cherry flavored too. The worst flavor.
Intricate world.
And Raw, you mentioned, you know what the worst? There's a simulator for all of these on tabletop for all games. For all of the games even. You know, some of them, as long as you homebrew all the good shit in, yeah, this is probably not going to be one of them. Although I will admit, automating a lot of the rolling for this, if they had that already in Tabletop Simulator, that would be awesome. The one time I tried, 3 times I tried Tabletop Simulator, I could never figure out how to get anything to work, so I'm not the right person to talk about that.
Building. Featuring the new...
Also, I'm being told by Martin, it's a stock ad for a graphic bit. Yeah, that makes sense.
And revolutionary racial hatred chart. The...
See, that is something I will not accept. Probably not for the reason you're expecting. If you don't make that a character decision for everyone, that's not right. Like, for example, does your dwarf hate elves? If the answer is yes, you better have a reason. If the answer is no, you better have a reason. Does your campaign have that in there or not? You better have a reason for yes or for no. Player preference is fine. Doing that at random without any understanding of your character to do it, that is literally the... Some of the other shit I can get into because, like, I don't like it, but there's a fine with it. Not knowing and not having it being part of your character as an actual very important part of their character, that's just dumb. Random choice for how you look, how you interact is fine. Random choice for an actual important bit about how the character, I guess I said interact, I'm taking that back and saying interacting here is not the right choice. This is something that you need to understand. Like, what is wrong with your character? Why are they like that? Is so incredibly reason. And I'm being told it's also for real humans, not just fantasy races. Oh my God. I'm fine with redemption stories. If, like, you roll up someone and you're choosing to make them a monster who becomes less of a monster, or if you're watching a villain who isn't a monster become a monster, cool. Having that based on random roll, it defeats the entire point of role playing in the game. No, I'm sorry. They probably misunderstood roll as R-O-L-L. Recall, I thought it was fantasy racism. I mean, my entire take on anything that comes down to a narrative aspect is have a reason for why it exists, be consistent, and make sure the players all agree. Horrible people can play games too. I'm not going to play with them. Good for them. I'm not there. But when it comes to fantasy, especially, then you need to have the reason. They're like, okay, does everyone get along? Great. Don't introduce a sudden elves hate dwarves plotline into a game that doesn't have that. For the same reason, if you have a really gritty game where everyone hates everyone, do not suddenly get along with everyone. Or if you do, have a damn good reason. It does really kind of matter. And that's just my take on it. I also don't like if everyone just uses the same system. This is just dumb, though. Like, it's just flat out dumb.
What? Now included with pre-made slurs. The huh? Let's hear a word from our creators. Fantasy gamers have never seen this degree of historical and mythological accuracy.
If you're trying to say that fantasy and historical racism is just random, okay, I will take that argument. I will ignore it because it's stupid, but it's an argument. Not the one they're making, probably.
It is the goal of Fatal Games to astound and thrill those who seek a role-playing game based on accuracy, realism, and detail.
And we're back to the self-congratulating... Sorry. What's the correct term here? Self-masticating? Well, they probably would do that if they could reach. But they're basically giving themselves the pat on the back and a little lower down, but I can't say that on YouTube. Oh my god, man.
Another faulty conclusion.
Why is every horrible...
Darren.
every horrible
Where
game is usually done because the person making is an absolute self-obsessed asshole.
For all those orifices earlier, as Fatal has rules upon rules for getting involved in some action. Yeah, I think the last thing that I want to do with my friends is get involved with some consensual action.
Not my thing, but if that's what their friend group is into, 1. You. 2, hey, good for them. Consensual. Great. Not my thing. That actually doesn't bother me nearly as much as character decisions and actual important matters. I'm still going to come back to that one. That actually bothers me.
Oh, well then you'll fit right in. What do you mean by that?
What?
Fatal! Forget about this abomination, lickety-split.
It basically just seems like they were trying to be super adult, didn't want to be super adult. I actually judge them more for adjusting their title. Being a horrible porn game would probably be a lot better for them and be a lot less insulting. How is it going to get worse?
On sale nowhere, so don't even bother. Freaking Fatal. Well, that was fun. Did you have fun? Good, time to ruin it. If you didn't pick up on that particular ending line, there is a lot of stuff in this game that I am not too keen on talking about because I'm here for fun bad, not ruin my whole day bad.
Not my thing, but honestly, that doesn't bother me. If someone else wants to do it, I won't. I'm not playing this. If someone recommends it, I will judge them. But good on them. And DeMadness, the joke was the consensual part. Yeah, I'm getting it's one of those fail games where there's going to be a lot of things done to you by the DM. That's why the DM hates you and you're going to be trying to destroy it. The thing is, there's an audience for that who is into that. And if that's the kind of game you want to get into, fine. But there's an audience for it. And who would be adults, hopefully. It looks like this is very much targeting adults, and that's very important, who would share the interest in something that's incredibly fucked up and is very much their group. Why are we doing this in public time? And I'm assuming with that type of audience, that would be a question that is asked more than once by everyone who is not in that group. I don't think that's where it's going. And yes, it does sound like this would be done by people who are adults, but have the maturity of a 12-year-old.
But for completion's sake, and so you don't have to go looking through 900 pages for yourself, if you want to see the content I'm talking about, I will return to my old bag of tricks. For exactly 1 frame, there will be a flash of all of the heinous material that I don't want to cover for you to pause and read. Just like before, I highly recommend not pausing to read it.
Nope.
Nothing is worth the risk.
Nope.
To those who didn't bother, I applaud your self-control. Now it's time to get back to the fun bad. Yeah!
Yep, we're not doing that one. Shark Laser Boy, I should judge people who are willing to play this. I'm of the opinion that if you're doing horrible things in a game, but your entire party consents to it, your entire campaign group consents to it, the DM is okay with it, you can do horrible things. When you do those horrible things in real life, no. Keep it in fantasy. Keep it in fiction. Keep it not real. The rest, fuck that. It's when it becomes real, then I have issues. Not my thing. Not going to do it. I prefer things like Mage, where I'm admittedly playing a very vanilla character who is kind of just the happy dumbass who does magic. Unlike all the other games where I was the happy dumbass who does magic. I think I've literally made the same character in 7 different campaigns at this time. In different systems. at different... shit, I really should probably start varying up how I make characters. It's always the same damn one, isn't it?
One of the more underexplored parts of Fatal is the game's magic system.
There's magic?
There are, of course, a ton of terrible things to be found here, just like everywhere else. But the spell list does contain some spells that I think are pretty funny and have...
Okay, honestly, that is kind of funny. That is good.
Has the one...
Ooh, is there a stubbing the toe one? That'd be worth it.
Good idea that I think the game had, the magical misfires. Let's take a peek at each, starting with the spell.
What?
Here are some of my favorites from the list, with most of them being included...
Also, you know it's deep because they did an inverted pentacle, so it must be satanic. Even though the Satanist temple that does actually exist is explicitly done as mocking anyone who is in religion because they're very much atheist. And a lot of it is done explicitly to be as nice as possible because it pisses people off that they're being as nice as possible because they're doing it to piss other people off. It's literally just real life IRL trolling. That's all it is. And then there's the assholes who actually believe it and aren't part of the temple because there's a completely different group who actually believes this stuff. And, you know, those guys are fucked up.
Due to just how petty the wizard must be to even have these.
I'm assuming the answer is you're playing this game, so yes, but also...
I cast Aching Feet, Banish Allergy, Bestow Allergy, Bestow Aching Back, Bestow Aura, Bestow Intoxication.
Okay, that last one I might want to steal.
Bestow Leprosy, Bestow Loss of Appetite,
Oh, we have found... I cast Wagovi. It even sounds like a magic spell. Oh my god.
Bestow Eon. This one literally ages the target by millions of years when you touch them. Business Spell. Profits of a target business increase by 10% per caster level. Detect Inferiority.
I think that's just called being in public.
Force Fart.
Oh, don't worry. There's no magic needed for that one.
Near-death experience. Putrid portrait. Literally just draws a bad caricature of the target, which makes them sad. Recipe for skin disease?
It's called meth.
Test of pregnancy. To keep bugs out of the house.
Very useful.
And finally, I cast Unattractive.
It's called playing this game.
It just makes the target ugly. Make sure you're careful when casting all of these incredibly useful spells, though, because if you biff your attempt, then you might just get a magical misfire. Magical misfires occur when you fail a cast or use a spell incorrectly. With instead of nothing happening, you will roll on the magical misfire table and watch on in horror as a completely random effect happens.
Is it actually random, or is it just, here's a bad thing that you will hate and is going to destroy the game happen? Considering where this is, I think I know which way I'm going on this side.
There are quite a few of these effects that could take place, more specifically, 2,000 of them.
God damn. I mean, I'm a guy who plays D&D with the D10,000 magical backfire. Sorry, not backfire. Wild magic table. So I am not the person to talk about this. In fact... I'm actually just downright impressed. If they're good. I don't mind being in some random bullshit here, man, but I'm assuming if you're playing this game, you're okay with a lot more fucked up shit than I am.
Requiring both a D10 and D1000 roll to determine...
Thank you, digital rollers.
...which one you get. If you think the D1000 roll is bad, in character creation, they have you make a D1,000,000 roll to see if you become a freak of nature.
Freak of nature? Character's freak of nature. Who has survived? Most freaks of nature are killed with deformity at birth. May be killed if others discover the deformity. Dying in nature. Deformity is punished by the gods. Here are the freak of vengeance of the gods. Such as bugbears, kobolds consider deformity to be a weakness of the race. They must die. Player freak must roll a 1d100 and consult the table below. I'm assuming the guy in the literal front of the game with the flesh wings is a freak of nature. Honestly, if it's only a D1,000,000, that's kind of actually bad. It seems like this game would be better if you had more of them.
Have fun with that. I'm feeling up for a challenge today, so we're going to read through all 2,000 of them. What's the first one on offer? 1. 2 gay ogres appear within 3 D10 feet, and okay, we're going to be...
I'm going to be honest. There's no right answer to that one. But if you're here for this kind of game, that's exactly what you're looking for already. Again, there is an audience for this. This is exactly what they're looking for. This isn't role-playing. This is basically their group kink. Anyone else playing this game, why? Like, I get it. There's the audience for it. I keep saying it's not my thing. It's definitely a very classy, very, very much classy somewhere else. Specifically, the class should be in what not to do, but that's beside the point. And they might be on a list. But, yeah. This is basically a sex game. Let's be honest. That's all this is. And anything that gets in the way of that is probably the wrong choice. There's an audience for it. It just is weird. And it's not my thing. But if you're into the really fucked up shit, this is probably your thing. And that's exactly who it's for. And it doesn't seem like it's such a broken game yet. Now let me be wrong and find out how broken it is.
Jumping around just like with the spells, I think that is a much better idea. 4. A gerbil escapes from the target's rump.
Okay, I'm going to be completely honest. That's just a scene out of Bruce Almighty.
All who see this are stunned for 1 round. 21. All armor within 3d10 feet shrinks by 50% inside.
Immediate evisceration of anyone wearing armor. Or the DM plays it straight, and the people are just deformed underneath it, going really high talky voices.
Characters inside will die of constriction.
Oh, even better.
391. All characters within 3d10 feet acquire depression.
I'm assuming they already have this from playing this game.
508. All characters within 3d10 feet are now naked and covered with honey.
Please tell me this happens in a badger-infested hellscape. Why? Because suddenly, meat's back on the table, boys. Instant encounter. Could be played very funny.
540. All characters within 3d10 feet become able to hear earthworms crawling.
Useless but funny.
633. All characters within 3d10 feet die from lightning bolts from the sky, except the caster.
Okay, that one's just dumb. Because it just kills your party and then it's over. Yeah. And Martin, I'm honestly not justifying these games. I just think it's just bad. Like, it doesn't seem like something that shouldn't exist. In fact, the runner-up seems like it was worse because it was unoffensive while being incredibly offensive. This one is just consistently offensive. Like, if you know what you're getting into with this one and you and your play group are into it, never bring anyone over with a UV light. And okay, good for you. I think what would be horrible, though, is if you get one friend, for now, who really is into this game and then gets you to play it. That is a huge problem, which is probably why this game got the rep, because there's definitely that one friend who really liked this. Like, they really liked this and they wanted to make sure everyone else got into it because it's so awesome, man. You get into it, it's like, that is where it's an issue. That is where it's a problem. And I think that is where you probably need to start running. And I don't mean that like metaphorically. I mean, like, literally get out of there.
681. All characters within 3d10 feet grow a fully functional tongue from their forehead. 716. All characters within 3d10 feet magically climb the nearest tree and magically fall from the top.
Unironically, I want that in the game.
743. All characters within 3d10 feet now believe that any character who is taller must die. 749. All characters within 3d10 feet now believe that the world is a rhombus.
Wait, what do they mean now? Always has been.
945. All characters within 3d10 feet transmogrify into air and die, but seem to vanish. 970. All characters within 3d10 feet will now far silently, no matter how hard they push.
What?
I believe that one is meant to be fart. 1066. In the nearest community, children rule and adults are slaves for 3d10 days.
I have nieces and nephew. This changes nothing.
1136. The caster hallucinates that it is the opposite season and dresses appropriately. 1143. The caster hallucinates that they are an orange and every character is trying to peel them. 1169.
Okay, that's actually a good
caster
one.
must force broccoli into each ear or they become irate and scream until
What
they
the
can.
hell?
1208. The caster teleports into the cottage of an arguing peasant family.
I would actually want this to be a thing because it's such a random, weird, awkward conversation that you could have a lot of fun with this one. Not where anyone playing this game would go, but useful anywhere else.
1267. The local government actually cares about its citizens for 3d10 hours and tries to help them.
That's just
1411. The nearest king seeks out the caster so that they may be thanked, praised, dismembered, and eaten. 19.
I can actually think of a lot of times that sounds very much like a vampire game.
1987. Whenever in the presence of a potential mate, the nearest male howls like a wolf.
I'm just going to throw it out there. Anyone playing this game, that would never come up. I know what I said.
And a 1705, this spell is cast.
My God.
Fatal. Fatal is a 10th level fire spell that instantly kills all life on the planet the caster is on, including the caster. In other words, this is a spell that will instantly end the game. Oh wow, my favorite spell by far. Wow, that was a whole lot more fun. Almost makes you forget what we are dealing with here. Don't worry though, if you want to be reminded as to the horrors of Fatal, here's another one frame trick of the spells and misfires that I couldn't include. Awful.
I'm not going to read them. I'm not. I know better.
I do genuinely think that the magical misfire system would be a great addition to a comedy-focused RPG.
Yes, I do. It's why I like the D10,000 table for random magical wild surges. Some of those even look like things that I almost am certain were stolen and put it into it. Because if you have 10,000 options, man, you know you had to have a big base to draw from. The instant kill everyone, though, is just kind of boring. And there was a few of them that basically turned out to be that either way. So yeah, that's best ignored.
Like, imagine failing a roll to light a torch and your hat turns into a group of squirrels that won't leave you alone.
That sounds awesome.
Lot of potential here.
Yes.
But the limited defenders of Fatal
That's not what you're doing
stick
with this
by
game,
the
though.
And say that if you just give it a chance, you'll see that it's really not bad at all.
No, it is exactly as bad as you think. Why would you? Oh, that's the problem.
Well, you see, people already have, and it definitely is. Case 1. Content creator Zig Minthotep detailed each and every process you would need to go through in order to properly create one Fatal character. It takes 327 rolls on a total of 654 dice, with the average character creation time being somewhere around 3 hours.
Only? Sorry, I've played D&D and that seems like 3 hours shorter than me pulling together the information to make a character. I mean, it was a level 30 character, but it counts. Also, I didn't remember where the things were, so I had to search for it. But still, I'm actually surprised they can get that many rolls done in only 3 hours. Unironically, not making a joke right now, that seems like they're maybe inflating the dice for them. Or deflating the dice and inflating the hours.
Case 2. A detailed account of a group attempting to play through an intro adventure.
Oh no.
They eventually had to throw the entire thing away when they realized that every encounter in the game has more detailed conditions for how to force yourself upon and enslave enemies than it does for straight up killing them. Case 3. A multi-post long campaign journal of one person who talked their friends into playing the game.
They actually did that?
Without informing them beforehand of what Fatal is. That is diabolical.
No comment. Just shocked. Okay.
The group never actually ends up reaching the explicit combat content, as before they even can, the players quit playing the game entirely due to how unbalanced it is. This happened because the soap maker character realized that it would take him 4 years to earn the same amount of experience that the herbalist got for healing 2 people.
Oh, yeah. Wow. It's that level of a bad game. Yeah, I see why it's on the list. Mechanically, it's horrible. Okay.
Needless to say, Fatal is appalling both from a content and a gameplay perspective. With any
This is a game you play with an AI, so you don't actually have to involve other people, or roll, or acknowledge that you've actually played it, and then realize you're wasting your life to realize that you're not supposed to be doing this one. In that order, specifically. Subject an AI to this one. They can delete it from their memory. Don't do it to a person.
Decent ideas that the game squirts out being buried by mountains of absolute garbage. To send this travesty off once again, here is the single greatest line that has ever been dropped in a review. Saying that this game should be burned is an insult to fire.
Oh, god damn, that actually is an amazing line. I'd say it's a burn, but that's not even getting into the point of it.
And once again, in regards to the modern Unholy Trinity, I think that Fatal might be the best of the three.
So it's a broken game that you should not play, that is horrible to play, that doesn't actually let you play, is very much meant for a sexual deviant audience, backed out of doing that, but kept all of it in there, and it's the best one. Oh boy. How? Why? Yeah, I'm with Valerian on this one. This is enough. This is enough. Yep. I mean, I knew it was going to be bad. I'm not surprised it's bad. I mean, I was going on a huge thing about how the previous one it doesn't look that bad. It can be fixed with homebrewing. I'm not saying that for this game. I'm saying that if you're into this, I was joking earlier about saying you're probably on a watch list. I don't believe that's a joke anymore. I think that is probably something that has got you on said watch list. And I don't believe that's a joke. And as much as I want to say something to contextualize my thoughts about the game, all I can think right now is, oh god, there's two worse ones. Okay. That is going to be an event. I'm very afraid for next week when I check that out. Oh god. So yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. I would recommend checking out the video, if only because I can't believe what I'm seeing either, and maybe you just want to find out just how much I'm going to screw myself over next week when I find out myself, to embrace the pain in advance. You'll probably laugh knowing that I'm going to be crying probably, because I think that's probably in the works. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.